So in this particular example, remember that we were asked to find the correction rate in MMD, right? And then we were later asked to convert it to IPY, right? And then we went through the whole trouble, the step-by-step process of actually doing it, right? Here we are going to actually find a way to actually do it straightforward without doing a whole lot of disorganized something. So it's like the whole process and organize it into this one, right? So let's see. So now we have the MMD, right, and we are trying to change it to IPY, right? So we know that so basically here we have a MMD, right, which is this value here, right, this here, right, and the aim is to change it to inch per year. All these are correction rates, right? Correction rate units, right? So clearly we know that this MMD here, as we've discussed, because of this here, this is milligram. That will mean that this here is for correction rate, right? And then this here is a unit of length. With this one right here is inch, right? So this means that we have correction penetration rate, right? So all things being equal, if all the units are the same, if the unit were to be the same, that would mean that for us to find the C, that's the correction penetration rate, we just have to do the correction rate, right, and we divide by density, right? But here is the case where the units are not the same. We have this in mmd and this is in IPY, right? So here is inch, this is here, this is milligram, this is day. The units are different, right? We went through the whole trouble. So now we're going to look at the very organized way, simple, like, and straightforward. So far as you understand, you're able to go through it, right? So let's see. So we know that clearly we are trying to find out IPY, right? And IPY, for us to do that, which is CPR, we have to divide by density, right? So let's see. So what we have here, so that would mean that, let's say, suppose we had the MDD, right? Changing it to IPY, right? So we have MDD, right? So let's see, MDD, right? And we know that this is the same as milligrams, right? Per, let's write it this way, per decimeter minutes. This MDD is the same as what's it mean? Milligrams, right? Per decimeter squared per day, right? Right. So there's the basis for what we are doing. So now we know we have milligram, right? And the density that we have in this problem here, we have it to be in grams per centimeter cube, right? Or whichever unit that you are given the density, but generally it's in grams per centimeter cube, right? So this is what we have here. So we use this and then we do all the conversions we need, right? So let's see. Okay. So yeah. So first of all, what we have is the MDD, which is milligram, right? But the density that we have is in grams. So that will mean that I have to change this one to grams. So milli is 10 to the power minus 3, right? 10 to the power minus 3, and the gram will come, right? And the decimeter squared, and then we have D, right? So this is what we have, and then we are trying to convert all this to IPY. So this is the first step, right? The next step is to make sure that we convert all these ones. So if it's grams, it doesn't matter, right? Because the IPY doesn't have any mass in it directly, right? If it's in the IPY we have here, that means that the day will have to change to something that's here, right? So that's the base for what we are doing, right? So now we know this, right? We've talked about this already. Let's take it this one. Okay. So we know that the what we are changing to IPY is CPR, right? So we need density, right? So if you are divided by density, if you are dividing through by density, it's the same as saying that we are multiplying. So if you have a quantity, let's say 1, and you are dividing it by density, it's the same as saying we are multiplying it by volume, right, over mass, right? The same as 1 times volume over mass, right? Yeah, which is the same as saying 1 on grams per cm cube, right? Yeah. So now we know we're dividing by density, right? So the gram is coming, the density is coming. But here, because we know we are dividing through and we are multiplying, we are using this format, right? Okay. So the cm cube will come to the top, right? So we have here, let's move this so we can have enough space. Basically, what we are doing here is that we are looking for what we call a conversion factor, right? Yeah. So that means that we have what, cm cube here. Let's make room for any constant I'll bring, right? So that's okay, cm cube, right? And then we have gram here. Fine. So meaning that we brought this factor here, this here, right? So the next thing is for us to convert the rest to make sure it has the same unit as that in IPY, right? Okay. So looking at what we have here, which is the MMD, right? What do we have to convert? So gram has been taken care of by this, right? This is the basic understanding for it. This is decimeter squared, right? This is centimeter squared. right? So looking at this, if they were to be of the same unit, we will just have this to take care of this, and we just have just centimeter one of it, right? So that will mean that we'll have to just convert the dm cube to cm cube, right? So that we end up getting just 1 cm left, and we convert it to inch, right? So that's what we're going to do. So when we are trying to cancel something, so basically we know that we are trying to convert this dm cube here to cm cube, right? So now for us to do that, meaning that we end up canceling this one, right? So that's what we want to do. So anything I want to cancel, we put a value, we put something similar to it on the opposite side. So this is down, so we have to put it up, right? So let's see. So that means that we are changing this dm cube to cm cube, right? So we just write the dm cube here first, right? That's the first thing. dm cube, that's the first thing, right? Fine. And now we are trying to change it to the cm right? So the cm that you are trying to change it to comes here, right? Sorry, they are changing the dm squared to cm squared, right? Yeah, yeah. So we are writing it here. So in the end, you see that this will take care of this, and we can cancel one of the cm cubes, and we end up with just cm, right? So that's what we're trying to do. Fine. So now we know that here is where you have to know the conversions of head, right? Yeah, or if you have something to help you with that, fine. So clearly, I know that we know that what's the name? 10. We know that 10 cm is equal to 1 dm, right? So then, if it's in cube, that will mean that 10 cm 10. That will mean that 10 squared cm squared will be equal to 1 dm squared. That's what it will mean. So the conversion has been done. That's if you were able to follow the previous discussion. This will be this one will go very smooth for you. Understand will be very clear here, right? Yeah, so we'll know this one is this. Fine. So this one has been taken care of. So we are just going to do the cancellation so everything is clear. So this one has been taken care of, right? Yeah. So meaning that when we take care of this cm squared, we will take care of 1 cm squared here. So that will mean that we won't be left with just cm. Here will become 1. So just cm. So the next thing for us to do is that we convert the cm here that we have to what? To inch, because that's what we are going to. We are converting mmd to IPY. So that's the aim. So mmd to IPY, right? Fine. And then clearly we know that even if you don't know it off head, you can use the calculator conversions to do that one straightforward, right? So let's see. We do this so that we are able to follow, and then whatever the problem is, you can do it on your own, right? Very important. If you're able to do it on your own, the work becomes way more intuitive. So whatever the case. And then important, this is not only used for mmd to IPY, it can be used for all the conversions, right? So let's see. We are converting 1 centimeter, right, to 1 inch, right? So 1 centimeter to 1 inch. Let's do it in the fraction. So that gives us 50 on 1 to 7, right? So now we have 1 cm here. So if I want to take the 1 cm as we discussed, that will mean that I want to cancel the cm out, right? So the cm comes here, right, and I put the inch here. So this we are trying to convert from this cm here to inch, so that in the end it will be like this cm cancel this cm, right? So that's what we are trying to do, right? So that's the understanding behind how we are doing it this way. It's organized this way. You just have to understand. So we know that 1 cm is equal to 50 on 1 to 7, right? So that's 50 on 1 to 7 inch, right? So that conversion has been done straightforward. Is there anything else that we have to convert? So the only thing left for us to convert, so clearly this has been taken care of. The only thing left for us to convert is this day here. We need it in what? Year, because IPY uses year, right? So if you want to cancel, that means the day comes up here, right? So we have day, right? And we want to take it to what? Year. So that this day here takes care of this day here, right? So how many days make a year? So generally we know this 365, right? So that's what we are using. It's equal to 1 year. So basically that is it. That is it. You just have to take out the factors, all the numbers out, multiply them, and you get what you are looking for, right? So that will mean that in the end, for us to convert from MDD to IPY, right? That's what we do. The unit for the density, which is this side here, has already been converted. So you just use the value for the density, right? So for us to do that, the only thing we need is that the IPY that we are looking for. So this IPY we are looking for is equal, that's corrosion penetration rate in IPY, is equal to, when you get to this side, right, what number do we have here? Everything is just 10 to the power minus 3, right? So let's see, 10 to the power minus 3, right, times 4. This side we don't have anything. Here we have on, that's 1 on 10. To make things simpler, just write how they are, right? So this is 10 to the power 2, right? 1 on 10 to the power 2. You can convert it whichever way we want, right? In here we have what? 50. So we have 50 on 127, and here what do we have? 365. So when we have this basically here, all this side here is basically the conversion constant, right, for when you're converting from MDD to IPY, right? So when you have this, because we know that this one is CPR, that means I have to divide the CR by density, right? So this one here, and you multiply by the density value, right? Sorry, you divide by the density, so that's basically 1 on density value, right? And you multiply by the MDD value, right? So the MDD value is what we have, which is the 422 point, right? So that's 422.6028, right? So doing all this will take you straight forward to the IPY, right? So let's see. So this, everything here, which is so making it simpler, this IPY, which is the corrosion penetration rate, will be equal to the value for the MMD, right? MDD, sorry. So the constant here, which this whole thing here, we said is the K, the conversion constant, right? So let's make it simpler. So basically the K, right? The K, conversion constant, right? And you multiply by the MDD value, right? Which is what we have here. And you divide by density, the density value. Because of the conversion we did, we just maintain the density in the grams per dm cm3, right? So that is it. So let's see what we have, right? So now the IPY, the corrosion, let's write again, the corrosion penetration rate in IPY, right? In IPY, that's what we have. This constant here is all the values that we did, the conversions that we did here, right? So that will be let's see, 10 to the power minus 3, right? Minus 3, fine. And then we have times, for the sake of understanding, I'm just going to type what is there directly, right? Just have to find a way to go through it as fast as possible. Right. Oh, this is just 2. Yeah. And then we have 50 on 127, right? And then we have 365. So this is the conversion factor. So that's yeah. Let me just write it. That's 7350800, right? Yeah. And then we have the MDD value, which is 422.6028, and the density value, right? We have that to be, that's, it was, is it for steel? Yeah, but is the value 7.86, right? Yeah, so bring that here and we have what? 7.86. So this is all we need to do to get a final answer, right? So this, fine, let's do this. All right, and then we have 422.6028. Is that so? Yeah, 6028. 6, zoom out. Okay, 6028, and then we have the density, which is 7.86, right? Yes, and clearly this is giving us the IPY value that we had in the whole long format that we used the other time, right? So this gives us 0.77, if it's in 3dp, 0.773, right? IPY, right? So let's see. It's actually similar or the same to what we had earlier, right? When we went through the process here. So it's the same answer we are getting, right? The same answer. So it's very important that you're able to follow the previous discussion. But when you get that, or if you understand that one already, you can skip that and use this method and get your answer straightforward. All right, so that's it.